All right, welcome to the Explainer. When you think of cigars, you might picture something, well, kind of old-fashioned, right? But what if I told you that this very industry is at the center of an absolutely massive global boom? Yep, today we're diving into the pretty unexpected story of the modern cigar market. So just how big of a boom are we talking about here? Well, get this. By 2031, the global cigar market is projected to be worth more than $77 billion. To give you some perspective, that's actually more than the entire global coffee shop market. Wild, right? Okay, so that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth did a product that's facing all this health and regulatory pressure get so huge? That's what we're going to unpack today. What's fanning the flames of this industry while so many forces are trying to put them out? Let's start with the big picture.
Okay, first up, a surprising market boom. Let's look at the numbers.
So the absolute engine driving this whole thing, it's the Asia-Pacific region. I mean, look at that. It holds over half of the entire global market. That's not just a lead, that's straight-up dominance. And it's all being fueled by a rising middle class that sees premium cigars as, you guessed it, a major status symbol. And it's not just about how big the market is, it's about how fast it's growing. The growth rate over in the Asia-Pacific region is actually outpacing the global average. It's basically the locomotive pulling the entire industry train forward. All right, let's move on to Section 2, the new age of luxury. This is really the engine room of the boom. Okay, this quote right here, this is the whole ballgame. It's not about tobacco as just, a simple product anymore. It's about a massive shift in how people see it. The industry has done an amazing job of reframing the cigar as a luxury item, something you'd enjoy just like a high-end wine or a really good spirit. And what's so interesting is how all these drivers work together, They create this perfect storm. The desire for a status symbol, that pushes premiumization. And that, in turn, sparks all this cool innovation, like companies talking about tobacco leaves like their wine vintages. And tying it all together is online access, which lets these small, cool boutique brands reach people all over the world. But it's not all sunshine and roses. Of course not. While the market is exploding, it's also heading straight for a massive regulatory wall. Let's talk about the headwinds. And man, these headwinds are serious. We're talking about huge tax hikes, total bans on advertising, and super complex regulations that cost a fortune to comply with. This right here is the central fight, the big conflict of the whole story, a luxury boom smashing right into a wall of regulation.
And if you want a perfect example, just look at this number, 1,100%. That is the potential increase the European Union is proposing for taxes on cigars. I mean, an 1,100% hike. That's not just a threat. For a lot of producers, especially the medium-sized ones, that could be game over.
So, Section 4, the evolving marketplace. With this huge tug-of-war going on, where are people actually buying cigars? Let's take a look. Right now, the market is still very much a physical, real-world thing. Almost 88% of sales happen in actual brick-and-mortar stores. We're talking about those specialist shops, the high-end cigar lounges, and a big reason for that is all the strict rules about verifying someone's age in person. But the future tells a very different story. It's all about online. Even though it's a small piece of the pie right now, e-commerce is growing way, way faster than traditional retail. And that shift is a huge deal. It lets these small craft producers skip the middleman and sell directly to anyone, anywhere. It's a total game changer for the marketplace. I love this slide because it really shows you the two different worlds living inside this one market. On one hand, you've got the mass market stuff. That's the foundation, the sheer volume of it all. But on the other hand, you have the premium segment. And that, my friends, is the engine of growth. It's where the real profit is, and it's proven to be super resilient even when the economy gets a little shaky.
And you can see this split in the products themselves, too. You have the traditional hand-rolled cigars that still dominate. They're all about the craft, the ritual, the experience. But then the fastest-growing part of the market, it's actually cigarillos. They're smaller, they're more convenient, they're basically built for our modern, always-on-the-go lifestyle.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the future, for an industry that's being pulled in two totally different directions at the same time? Let's look at the outlook.
Well, companies are definitely not just sitting around. They're responding with some really fascinating strategies. You've got companies like CLE and EP Korea who are just doubling down on that whole luxury heritage vibe. But then you have a company like Swisher doing something totally different, making a clever pivot into the cannabis market to use their brand name, but, dodge some of those pesky tobacco regulations. Pretty smart.
So yeah, the industry is adapting to survive, for sure. The big players are buying up smaller ones, they're zeroing in on the most profitable markets, and they're pouring money into tech. But if you had to pick the #1 strategy, it's this relentless focus on the premium stuff, the high-end products that have enough profit margin built in to actually absorb all those rising costs from taxes and regulations.
Which really brings us to our final thought. As this world of luxury collides head-on with a world of regulation, the entire future of this multi-billion-dollar industry really comes down to one thing. Can it convince people that a cigar isn't just smoke, that it's a symbol of status, and that it's something worth paying a premium for? That's the big question.